A first-of-its-kind attack on the Indian military installation. Drones were used to target Jammu Air Force Station a day after two explosives rocked the airbase. Security agencies are connecting the dots now as to what led to this massive security breach. The NIA, NSG and IAF special forces are on the ground probing evidence. Sources have told India Today that a highly explosive impact IED was used in the attack. The impact IED explodes when the explosive bursts on impact when it comes into contact with ground or surface with force. It is being revealed that two IEDs had sharpnels and 2 kilograms each. The samples have been sent to forensic tests, and it may take 42 to 48 hours for the test result. A preliminary investigation suggests that RDX could have been used in the Jammu airbase attack, and that could nail Pakistan's role. RDX is not available in India, and it is sourced from Pakistan by the terrorists. The investigations also suggest that the attackers could have been operating drones from a close proximity from the airbase. Agencies are working on two theories: if drone came from across the border or was operated from within Jammu. So far, only splinters and explosive remnants have been found. It is suspected that a trained hand of the ISI or Pakistani army could have perpetrated the attack. Sources have also further gone on to reveal that raids are being conducted in Jammu in connection with the Jammu airbase attack. Kamaljeet Sandhu is now joining us live for the very latest on the story. Kamaljeet, there are many possibilities that whether this drone has come in from Pakistan or whether it was in Jammu itself and was fired from within Jammu itself. The investigation is currently underway. At the moment, where does the Home Ministry stand in terms of ordering the investigation? Where does the probe stand? Are the searches underway for the drone that we just reported about as well, just a while back, the third drone that was spotted?
A multi-agency probe is already underway. The JKP is already working on leads and is expected to work and come out with something in the next 48 hours. What is also important is whether the Home Ministry decides to hand over the case to the NIA. For that matter, the personnel there in Jammu branch office are associated with this particular case. There has been preliminary investigation being done, and as you were pointing out, an impact mechanism was used in the IED, so it was dropped from a height. It fell on the surface. At least two IEDs were recovered, both of them of 2 kgs each. And we've been told that the explosives contain sharpnels and perhaps even RDX, which can be originally sourced to Pakistan. It's not easily available in India, and that is why fingers will now point towards Pakistan. The other part is, where did these drones really come in from? The agencies are not ruling out both factors. One, because as the crow flies, the border is 14 kilometers away from the Air Force Station. And remember, the attack was not peripheral. It was deep inside the Air Force Station near the helipad. The other part is whether this was assembled in the Jammu city, as some are now indicating. But this is an open-ended probe. We'll have to see whether NIA officially now takes over. The other part is the leads working on. The third part, we've been speaking to security agencies, what is going to be imminently done as far as a counter-drone policy or drone attack policy is concerned. India has been lagging behind. This has been happening for the past 3 years. That several weapons have been...
So these are big alarm bells on India's security system as well. Kamaljeet, hold on with us. Kamaljeet is getting us some exclusive details right there, bringing us up to speed with the very latest as far as where the probe stands as well. Question now is whether Pakistani involvement exists or not. So is Pakistan involved in the Jammu airbase attack? Well, let's get it for you on your screens right now and explain to you. This is the drone that we're talking about. The international border is 14 kilometers away, and the Jammu Air Force Station is right here, as you can see on the map as well. A low-flying drone was used to avoid being detected by a radar. International border is just 14 kilometers away, as we just showed you right here. That is the international border. It is 14 kilometers away from the Jammu Air Base. It is suspected that a trained hand of the ISI or Pakistani army could perhaps have perpetrated this particular attack. And as we were reporting earlier, it was flying below the rate at a very low level, so that it cannot be detected by the radar as well. So big question arising on whether there is a Pakistani hand in this particular drone attack or not. Kamaljeet is still with us. Kamaljeet, these are questions we can't answer at the moment, but now, of course, the probe will be leading into the direction whether Pakistani involvement exists or not as far as this attack is concerned, given the fact that the drone was also flying low, that cannot be detected by the radar.
See, there are many indications why Pakistan hand could be behind this. One is that the border area is very close. Second is that this was a very professional job. A highly explosive material was used. Perhaps the RDX, forensic, and the FSL report is still awaited, which we are expecting in the next 48 to 72 hours. But in all likelihood, the way this job was done using GPS and even a satellite, this is how deep inside the Air Force station this particular drones came in. It doesn't seem the terrorists could have really carried out, or their handlers could have carried out. It seems like a very professional job, which could be only done by state actors. So in that particular sense, Pakistan ISI and even the army could be behind it. Now, the point is that Pakistan has been claiming all along that 100 days of ceasefire and beyond. But behind this, we all know, as far as Pakistan's strategy is concerned, it may be 4 steps forward, but it's also several steps backwards. So yes, there is a high suspicion, and our sources clearly indicating Pakistan hand is being clearly looked at this point of time. The only thing they require is evidence, and once that evidence is on hand, it will be available for both the international community and even Pakistan. For that matter, they have always been in denial. The point is the trigger for this to do. The FATF has got over. Pakistan continues to be on the grey list, and now they are perpetrating fresh strategy, a cause of worrying, alarms being raised by security agencies. We have an impending election somewhere between November to February. And before that, a change in Pakistan's strategy clearly points out they're using technology. Even the Chinese drones cannot be ruled at this point of time. They have upped the ante.
Yes.
The point is, what is Indian?
Yeah, that's a very interesting point that you mentioned. While we are talking of Pakistan, there could also be a Chinese angle involved in this as well. Thank you for now, Kamaljeet, for joining us. Stay on with us. This remains to be our top focus. The Pakistan-based terrorists have been using drone systems to drop weapons in Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir. My colleague Pooja Shali will be breaking down the past instances when drones coming in from Pakistan did end up dropping weapons. Take a look.
The drone theory is being explored for today's possible target is because there have been recoveries in the past by drones sent over from Pakistan, detected and intercepted by the border security forces. Let me now take you through the background and the chronology of some of these events. What precisely happened in 2020? On September 22 last year, weapons were delivered. So what was recovered? 2 AK-47, AK-56. These were some of the weapons that were claimed to have been recovered. 2 M4 carbines via the drones in Akhnur sector. 3 magazines, and this in the Jammu region. 1 handgun also was recovered. That happened in 2020. Let's move on. Few months later, in September 18, terrorists receiving weapons via drones but got intercepted. What was recovered? The AK-47 and AK-56 weapons. There was also an M4 carbine, and importantly added to that, a handgun as well. This happened in September in 2020 with 6 magazines. Magazines, of course, to later for firing incidents as well, and of course 4 grenades and 180 ammunitions as well. All this by drone. So it is not really a very small drone just for surveillance. It can be used to drop payloads as well. June 20. In 2020, the border security force shot down a drone in Hiranagar sector in Kothua, which is the Jammu region, very close to Pakistan border. What was recovered? 1 hexacopter, basically used for surveillance as well of drones. A radio signal was primarily received. That is how they tend to intercept some of these drones. 4 batteries, of course, with the drone that was recovered, 7 grenades as well as the forces claimed, and 1 M4 carbine as well. These are not very small items. Isolated though, combined can be very lethal, with 2 magazines also for further firing incident, and in total 60 ammunitions as well. So the BSF have been intercepting in the past as well. That is why a raised alarm. What happened in 2019? 8 drone sorties were delivered with arms into Punjab. So this is not Jammu and Kashmir. Even the neighbouring state of Punjab have seen drone incidents. Many have been reported as well. What was recovered in September 2019 when they were dropped in Punjab? 5 M4 carbines. There was also 15 magazines. There were cash also that was recovered, 4 handguns. Also in 2019, 9 grenades. All of this via a drone, remember, unmanned vehicles, 5 satellite phones, 2 mobile phones as well, 2 wireless sets, of course, for networking and communication, and as I mentioned earlier, 10 lakh rupees cash as well. All of this with unmanned vehicle, and then finally in 2019, just 2 days before the Independence Day celebrations, police recovered crashed hexacopter drone from Mahua village in Amritsar, which is again in Punjab. One hexacopter drone that was also made available mainly for surveillance. All this is to help you understand that what happened in Jammu today and the damage on the roof was primarily because a possible payload drop by a drone and an angle that is being explored.